G'day! Welcome back as I continue on my string challenge. You can see I'm zoomed right into Japan here because I did leave the game to run for a little bit. I generally find that sort of just zooming in on a part of the world where there's nothing going on usually makes it sort of move a little bit smoother. So here we go. Alright. So I did leave the game for probably about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, somewhere in there. And you can see that that has given us a whole bunch of our sort of Eastern European cities that were waiting to come in. And then a whole lot of our stand cities too. These cities here obviously suggest that I'm going to need Russia to really connect all of those at some point. For now, we will sort of make a connection to them, but if there really is nothing in the middle of Kazakhstan, then I would imagine that, yeah, that'll be sort of like a clear separation. Which also means that if you want to go from the north of Kazakhstan to the south of Kazakhstan in this flight path, you will have to travel through 2 continents to get there. 3 continents, I suppose, because we go through Europe as well. So, we are going to start this one with Myanmar as our first entry in. And while we've got that and letting it sort of bring in some more cities, we will expand through here. Now, this guy here is in a sort of interesting outer spot. Like, where would he be best suited to join? I suppose if I get rid of this line here, which I have to anyway, we can connect those two, go bounce up to him. Gonna be the shortest route. Where do we go? Up. Yeah, maybe not. Let's get rid of that again. Let's connect these two. Then go, like I said, we've got so much money now that we can just sort of do our upgrades immediately. Cross. Then across here. And then what we'll do is we'll get him to just sort of swing up. I don't know if I need to bring Lviv back into here, or if I should leave it over there. I suppose it depends on how much of travel is sort of internal. The cities actually care what they're near, or do they go for local travel? So what we'll do is just in case they do, and to keep Ukraine as one Ukraine, we will build that, and we'll sell that one and that one. Apologies to anyone that's made it all the way through the line and is currently sitting at Liv Airport to discover that they're now at the very back of the line. Like, say, if there's someone in here from, oh good, the majority of it is Ukrainian cities. Say if it was someone sitting there that was from heading to Los Angeles, they may have worked all the way through from India to hit here and then be told that you've got to go all the way back through Africa a second time. So I can imagine that doing this is going to break the line a fair bit too. We're going to see people just stranded in random spots because there's so many new cities getting added to the setup. So we're not going to worry about trying to clean up too much of the rest of the route at the moment. Okay. So this city here can definitely just be joined into the connections going on down the bottom. So we'll get rid of that. And what we'll do instead is we'll just get these two to connect there. Get them to move. And then we'll connect these two like that. Game is definitely starting to drag. Luckily, we're into the final 15% of the world here. I mean, I realize that 15% is the amount of countries open. It's not factoring in, say, the land mass and the city total of both Russia and China. But we are slowly getting there. So what we'll do here is we'll drop out that line. And we'll get these guys to sort of skip a few cities through. I assume Kiev's already upgraded. Now there's a new city. It's just, oh no, is that, as I say, it must have popped in because it's green, but no, I think that was the city I pulled from the existing line, so it's a bigger city. Well, speaking of a big city. It's already a massive city. There you go, there's an example of cities already suddenly starting to freak out because there's they don't know what to do. From here we'll jump across. And then down. It's definitely getting jumpy while he figures this out. Which ones of these cities are actually the ones that need upgrading? And that guy's already upgraded, yep. So I might still try and speed this along in terms of opening up cities, because a lot of I find that what's better off is sort of getting large chunks of cities opened and then sort of spending the time, like the video actually takes place, in connecting those. But potentially what I'll do is I'll open China at the end of this video and then have spend the time letting that run for a bit. So we can really sort of just sweep through these final few. Although I can imagine that once China's in there, the speed of everything is going to be a bit more questionable again. So there'll be a lot more cities on the board. I got that one, didn't I? Good, so just get connections back to Brest, which is also freaking out at how occupied it is. Alrighty, so they're all happy. So then we've got this section here, so we're quickly jumping into getting cities in Myanmar. Alright. So I think that what we want to do here is try and work out a way that we can loop all of these guys in. And then what we'll do is basically it'll be these two guys will connect here, or these two guys will connect here, but we'll cut that, and then it will be that these guys bounce up and loop around and come back in. And that's sort of the one that we expect to eventually cut to get rid of all our long Kazakhstani connections there. This guy, on the other hand, he's going to connect in here. I guess the slightly annoying thing is that he would be a great spot to connect between these two cities. I suppose what I could do is we could cut that one and then cut these two. And those two connected there. Just check out why that guy's red. Just that he had a slightly long route sort of connecting him. So we get those two connected there. And then we can join these guys around like that. That's probably a little bit cleaner of a way to have him connected. Let's get his planes upgraded. Alrighty. So I think this route here will cut, and it'll be this guy in, that guy in, that guy out. So there are our two connections to try and get to all of these. As we do this, we probably want to oh, we've already upgraded that guy. Already upgraded that one. Yes. I want to just make sure we upgrade planes and cities as we go. So this one will swing out to out to that guy. I wonder if these guys have the word Turk, excuse me, have the word Turk in their name for the same reason that these guys have Turk in their name. Are they also considered Turks? Is there a certain point where those two separated as sort of having a connection? No, wrong city. Now that city is really out in the middle of nowhere. So do we just double down and just sort of send that up to sort of join the rest of the long cities? Or we just concede and swing him back? I'm going to concede and swing him back because, like I said, I expect that these guys will all get connected a different route. And all we can hope is that Uzbekistan ends up with more cities. Holding my breath, but... So he'll go to there, and he'll go to there. Sort of try and do them at the same time so we don't strand one of the two routes. It's definitely struggling away here. My hope was that as this game sort of, as this series went along, because it has been going a very long time, that we will see the patch updates come through, and eventually, like, as I open the world up more, it becomes more playable, and it has. They definitely have done a good job at sort of trying to address some of the fixes. There was a point where I had to stop because it was unplayable, and I had to wait for a new patch to address the issues. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to keep going. And I mean, at this point it is still sort of... It is working, it's just very sluggish. The other interesting thing too is that they must have changed back the money in some way, because now I've left this for several hours and I haven't sort of expanded much beyond the money that I have versus that one half an hour where I got $100 million. Okay, so that's our connections. Then these two guys have to go up and up. And the reason that I'm sort of having them connected to so close to each other is the same logic, that it's basically that if Russia comes in and I can connect all of these cities to Russia, then all I know is I can cut these two routes, connect these two here, and I can cut those two routes and connect those two there. So basically that it's a nice logical sort of way to look at it. As long as this top route doesn't loop down, they shouldn't crisscross each other. Good. We won't declare that ruining our pathing. And straight away what we'll do is we'll get him, and then we'll give him 500-seater friend and a 300-seater friend. That guy, 500-seater friend. One more. I guess at this point, what we'll do is this guy will go up here, then to there, then to there, and then back. There's still some very long shooting routes here. Potentially some Russian cities, like if there's anything in here, we can have these two connect through him to get down. Might clean it up a little bit. So let's get these guys nice and upgraded. So we'll get him. Give him a 500-seater. A 300-seater. And we'll go for this guy. That was upgraded? No. Try and give them some sort of balance here to... We'll give him a second plane. Just a 300-seater, I think we'll do him. Alright. Let's see how that sort of holds up the top end there. So I wonder how many sort of cities will end up in Indonesia as well, because that's a very high population country. But I also think that there's only so much space that they actually will give to us. Next up, I'm going to open up Mongolia, and it wouldn't surprise me if Ulaanbaatar is the only city that we end up getting this one, because my intention is that I'm going to open up China as well. So we'll go these three first, and then open up those guys maybe later. So I do love Mongolia, and wholeheartedly recommend it as a holiday destination. Where's our end of the line at the moment? Bhutan. So we're possibly going to run into China as our next thing. So actually the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to save, and I am going to load, because we've just connected so many new cities. We want to just make sure that the game can look at itself and work out what's going on. Alright, so first up we've got, though, Myanmar. Officially, the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, also known as Burma, was the official name until 1989. Bordered by Bangladesh, India, China, Laos, and Thailand. And it has the Andaman Sea and the Bay of Bengal to its south and southeast. So I would assume that's probably the bay there. And that would be the, or would this be the bay? And that be the sea. I suppose it depends on how big the bay is. No, that's the sea. Alright, so the sea is this little section just there. And so that's the bay. That answers that. Has a lovely little flag. Looks a very African style looking flag with yellows, greens, and reds. What else have we got? Give us a population. 57 million population as of 2022. Early civilizations in the area included the Tibeto-Burman speaking Paiyu city states in Upper Myanmar. I suppose I did put them pretty close to Tibet, and we would Tibet be pretty about there, so sort of close. Alright, well we'll let them just sort of build for a little while, and we'll go back to looking at what we've got in terms of red. Now in part, like what we just experienced again was because we did the load save. There's possibly some cities that are just sort of struggling just purely because they were the spot that where all of those people stopped. So we'll see if this guy just can slowly correct himself. Just a whole bunch of, and you can see based on the fact that these planes are green that everyone here is heading north. This is such a short route here that he can sort of clean it up a fair bit. You can see for the most part red planes are heading one way, green planes are going the other. Mongolia, our other recently unlocked landlocked country in East Asia, bordered by Russia to the north, China to the south, covers an area of 1.5 million square kilometers with a population of just 3.3 million, making it the world's most sparsely populated sovereign nation. It's the world's largest landlocked country that does not border a closed sea, and much of its area is covered by grassy steppe, with mountains to the north and northwest, Gobi Desert to the south. Ulaanbaatar is the capital, home of roughly half the population. Fun fact about Mongolia, they are the only country in the world that has the yin and yang symbol on their flag. I can also tell you that their KFC is incredibly good. I stopped by a few years ago and they had I'm sure I've told it before, massive burger as well that we ate there. That the thing I think was quite surprising about Mongolia, and from what I've sort of got, and this is my understanding of it, feel free to let me know if I am wrong. At the point where sort of Lenin went into Russia and Russia became communist, Mongolia was on board with them. So there was a lot of statues of Lenin, Mongolia, at that time. But then through the sort of 1920s, Russia started to bully Mongolia a fair bit. And I think in the 80s, they started to sort of push away. I think it was possibly in, let me see if I've got that right. Yeah, so the Mongolian People's Republic was established in 1924 after they declared independence from the Qing dynasty in 1911. So they sort of, in that sort of area, they pulled off, I guess, from Qing dynasty was China, and then sort of joined into communism. And then in 1992, they got their current constitution. And so they had a pretty rough time under Russia, but now their closest allies are South Korea and Japan, and you can sort of feel that I think there's a lot of natural resources that are in Mongolia, so you can see the wealth that they now sort of are starting to find, and it's this really fascinating combination of a democratic, capitalist country that has money, but then is also very in touch with its past of yurt tents. Like if you're in the city, you can see yurt tents in some blocks of land or on the tops of some skyscrapers. Well, it's not skyscrapers, but sort of like multi-story buildings. I think, I'm not sure if I've said it on here before, but the best way that I describe Mongolia is if you imagine North America, but the Native Americans just won every fight that anyone put up against them, and that they and their sort of like traditions had sort of dominated the country and made it all the way to modern society. That's what Mongolia feels like. It was amazing, just sort of like our guide was telling us about mare's milk, and one of the guys I was with was like, oh, that'd be interesting to try. And so just driving along the highway, they saw a yurt tent that had a lot of foals there, and they were like, well, they've got foals, so they'll have mares, so we can have mare's milk. And they just pulled off, just went to a person's yurt tent, and they shared mare's milk with us, which was very vinegary. Unless you like vinegar, mare's milk may not be for you. But yeah, so very, very South Korean tour, like a lot of South Korean tourists, I think was it. But also not a massive tourist destination, so it's not somewhere where you're going to get hassled by people trying to sell you things or whatever. I really enjoyed it. And then also getting to learn about Genghis Khan and the insane push that they made through the world. Also, if you love horses. If you do love horses, then you go to Taraj National Park or something and then just ride horses for days. Go buy a horse and you could ride it pick a direction and ride it for a few weeks in Mongolia. Alright, so we're starting to get a fair bit down here in Myanmar at the moment. And what I will do is that we don't have China in just yet, but I'm going to bring it in. Well, we're going to read about China. I'll just leave it till the very end. China, People's Republic of China, world's most populous country with a population exceeding 1.4 billion. Spans 5 geographical time zones and borders 14 countries and lands. Now it says it spans them, but I'm not sure if they actually use them. If I recall, I was under the impression, I could be wrong, I was told at least that China operates just in one time zone. And when I went and visited Shanghai, being over here, it meant that the sun was rising at like 5 a.m. in the morning because we're as far east as we can go. Which did mean that when I was there for work, and work didn't start till 9 a.m. I had 4 hours of sightseeing that I could do each morning, which was quite nice. What do we got? So we've got 91% of the population is Han Chinese, which is quite interesting because there were so many different sort of like populations of ethnicities of China that it's surprising that one now, I guess, dominates it so much. I've said it before in one of my other videos, one of my fun, I think, interesting facts about this game and this part of the world is that I don't believe that you get Hong Kong once we open up China. We will open up China now too. Let's get done. When we're down here, we won't get Hong Kong. There's a city, Guangzhou, if I'm remembering that correctly, that's just across the border in mainland China to Hong Kong. And so you get that, you don't get Hong Kong. And then also down here, we've got Malaysia, but we won't get Singapore as its own separate country because it's too small, and this map is just sort of cutting out a few of those really small cities, which I find very funny because as an Australian, if I'm flying out to the rest of the world and I need to fly via Asia, I am going to Singapore and out, or I'm going to Hong Kong and sort of out. And neither of those, the two most significant airports in Asia, aren't there in a flying game, an airport game. All right, so these two guys are going to be stranded out there for a while until we see the rest of China come in. I'm still reluctant to join any of these guys either because we're currently finishing in Bhutan at the moment. Obviously, I could quite easily flip this around so we end up coming out the bottom here and going into Myanmar. But I want to see what our sort of path of China is. We probably will have to turn this around because this section of China here is Tibet. And so at best, we're probably going to get Lhasa sort of here. But I would imagine that with the population of all Chinese cities, we're not going to see much. For the size of China, the percentage of the population that lives in this chunk here is way too small that we're not going to see that fill up by any means. Alright, so let's have a look back at what we've got over here too. Let's see, Dubai's quite red at the moment. Is there one plane on that route? Let's just help him out a little bit. Give him a 300-seater. We've got 2 on that one, so I'm going to up him to a 500-seater just to sort of potentially offset that extra plane. That guy's got the 3 routes. This one here, I'd say, is going to need a second plane. This guy here might need some help. Unclear which way would be the struggle for that one. I suppose it's going to be this way. Most of them are all back towards America is where our struggles are going to be. And some of these you can just sort of eyeball the length of the two routes on either side of it to pick which one's the going to be the problem child. Tricky one actually. That's got 2. Oh, he's got 2 as well. So let's give that guy a boost. Guys done a good job. Let's give him a boost there. Are they all heading that way? They are, because that's up towards America. So let's give him that extra support. I would imagine it was this side that's struggling here. The 2 planes on that side? No. Why is he... Have I got that around the wrong way? What order do these guys go in? So they come down... Yeah, okay. So it is that route. So for this one, it would be this side as well. I mean, any of these that are red, you can sort of look at one side and go like, well, that's definitely where the struggle's surely going to be. It's all heading north. Surprised with how short these routes are that they're struggling. I don't know if it's because it's just such a quick succession of short routes that they can't handle it, but then this hits this short route here, and that guy's got 2 planes too, so hopefully that sort of can push out that little log jam. A lot of planes on the move. Some red still going on in America. So that's a lot of heading south, which is definitely this side of things. There's still one of those sufferers that's got just 2 planes sitting on top of each other. Let's just even see that just by reducing it and staggering them, if that helps at all. There's another one that's got 2 planes on top of each other. Alright, well, I'd say we can leave that one there. We've now just started to get a few of the real big cities in China. I'll let that run for a bit to see what we end up looking like in China. India doesn't look that bad, which makes me wonder if this isn't going to be as bad as I expect. However, like I said, that the last time that I had India really busy was when I played it in all countries mode, which was a lot faster. Like that was, if I had this many cities in all countries mode, that would have looked so much busier than what the rest of the map did. So by comparison, that would have been really busy. So I'm curious to see how China ends up. Yeah, any questions or comments, feel free to chuck them below. And until next time, catch you later. See ya.